Today I'm going to talk about your shoulder complex, more specifically a few muscles that create your upward rotation of your shoulder, or in other words, pretty much bringing your shoulder up out in front of you and towards your head. And those muscles are going to be upper trap, serratus anterior, and your lower trapezius. But first, let me label a couple things. All right. So first off, these two bones, your scapula and your humerus, this is what's responsible for your shoulder motion, pretty much. And so these two bones need to work in synchrony to create a smooth and unpainful shoulder motion, pretty much. And they move with the help of your muscles that are attached to it. And so there are a bunch of muscles that attach to the shoulder blade complex. I'm not going to go over them all in this video, but a few that I do want to go over that help with upward rotation I'm going to talk about. So let me get out of this real quick. All right, let's start with this one right here. So this is your upper trapezius. So your upper trap is pretty much responsible for elevating or bringing up your shoulders, and upwardly rotating or bringing out your arm in front of you. And so this is actually probably, out of the three muscles I'm going to talk about, the one that is usually least likely to be weak. It still can be weak in people, but it's usually the one that is most overactive in people, and a muscle that usually wants to be stretched or calmed down, and not overworked as much. And so this is one of the muscles that's responsible for having that good smooth shoulder motion. And then the second one I'm going to talk about, this one right here, this one's your lower trapezius. So it's part of the same muscle as your upper trap. You have your upper fibers, your middle fibers, and then your lower fibers. So your lower trap is pretty much responsible for depressing or bringing down your shoulder blade, and helping the upper fibers, the ones I just talked about up here, in upwardly rotating your shoulder blade. So your lower trap is actually one of the muscles that is usually the most likely to be weak. It's a muscle that is not trained as much in a lot of people, and it's a muscle that usually needs to be focused on a lot more, and is usually the weakest out of the three muscles that I'm going to talk about. And so let me get around to the other one. Let's see this guy right here. I'll take some layers off. Oh, too many. All right, so this one's your serratus anterior. So your serratus anterior is responsible for protracting or bringing your shoulder blades forward and upwardly rotating your shoulder. So let me try to get a motion going here. Let me back out. Okay, start that over. Stop right there. All right, so as you can see, these fibers go from your ribs to your scap, and as they contract, they help bring your shoulder up, just like that. And then if we go back to your lower trap, let me add some muscles again. And then let's do this motion. Stop right there. So your lower trap helps also to bring your shoulder blade into an upwardly rotated position. And so how all these three pretty much work together is, if we zoom in a little, we'll stick right here. We'll start with the lower trap. These lower trap fibers, as if you follow them, they go towards your back right here. And as they contract, as you just saw, when they contract, they help bring your shoulder blade up. And then your upper trap right here, if you see these fibers, these kind of run this way towards your neck, from your scap towards your neck. And then your serratus ones, which I can't put them all at the same time, but they were right here where the ribs were towards the scap. These go from here to here. So if you kind of see the direction of all three of these fibers, your upper trap fibers are going this way, your lower trap fibers are going this way, and then your serratus fibers are going this way. So they're kind of all going in opposite directions. And we pretty much call this, in fancy terms, it's called a force couple. It's pretty much when a group of muscles act in, they have opposite directed forces, which pretty much simultaneously generate a rotational motion. So just because these three muscles are pretty much pulling in different directions, all three of these pulls, so the upper trap going this way, lower trap going this way, and then the serratus going this way, all three of those motions create a rotation of the shoulder, which helps bring your shoulder blade up. So if one of these is dysfunctional, let's just say your lower trap, but your upper trap and your serratus is working, if your lower trap is weak, then your shoulder blade's not going to rotate as much or as good as it can. And then that could cause some dysfunction, and it could cause your humerus and your scapula not to move in synchrony as much as it should, kind of like what I was talking about earlier. So that's why it's really important and really crucial to make sure your lower trap and your serratus, and your upper trap too, if it's weak, for those to be strong and stable, because they really help with upwardly rotating your shoulder above your head. Let me get out of that. And yeah, so those are the three I wanted to talk about. Of course, as you can see, there's a bunch of muscles that connect to your shoulder. If you take off some layers, you have your rotator cuff, you have your lats that attach to your humerus, you have a bunch of other muscles. Can't go over them all right now, but I just want to talk about those three that are responsible for rotating your shoulder up. If you have any questions about anything in the video, feel free to comment or send me a message. And in another video, I can talk about possibly the rotator cuff or other muscles that attach in your shoulder that are also super important. I just wanted to give a little glimpse into these three muscles and kind of how they all work together, or how they all have to work together in synchrony to create a smooth shoulder motion. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.